Emergence is an absolutely stunning work.
Thanks.
It's just beautiful. I finally got to see it on something a bigger screen, and it struck me that I mean, besides loving the piece and your direction's amazing, it's this time I kind of felt like the drone that does your single. It's also dancing. Huh? That must have been incredibly complex to set up.
Yeah, it took a long time and a lot of rehearsals, and finding the right pilot, and then all of this stuff. It took like months to get to the point where you can feel the motion, and it's still not perfect, but it's I think it's pretty good, and doing it a single shot, it had to be integrated with the dance. That's a dance piece. So.
Yeah, was it choreographed first and then you worked out a shot list, or did you sort of plan out where the camera would move and then the choreography suited that?
Yeah, we played with the choreography. We had most of it because the rehearsal space where we did it, we couldn't really do the drone.
Mm-hmm.
So we had I had an idea of where it was going. Then when we got the piano, then we started rehearsing, and it took about that was take number 16. And it was really hard on the dancers because that's a concrete floor, and after a while you could tell that we either had to get it or not, and finally we got it. We also had to switch drones because the first drone had like a zoom lens on it, and when you zoomed it went to like f11, so everything was dark. So we had to get a new one with a fixed lens and stuff. So.
Right, and then you had to have the drone get closer and further.
Yes.
You couldn't zoom anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's why I wanted to zoom, so the drone didn't have to be right here.
Yeah.
So it ended up having to be right here.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing of making
Yeah,
it
in the
safe.
beginning when you go in on the piano and then the dancers obviously rush in and sneak under.
Exactly.
It's actually stunning. I recommend when this is available online or whatever.
Yeah, it's
watch
on
it
YouTube
it's on YouTube.
Just, yeah.
Watch it multiple times because each time you see more and you think more about how it would have been pulled off, because it really is just, I mean, I just congratulate you on something so visionary.
Well, I had it in my mind a long time, and Emilio, the choreographer, is just wonderful because we wanted to do a pas de deux, tell a story. Like they emerge from the inanimate, the music awakens them, and so they come into life and they meet each other. And originally, when they go to the door and there's all the white light, you're supposed to go outside. We were going to go outside, but that proved to be too daunting for our limited, thing in terms of, because that's when they come together and then they sort of, not reject the exterior, but they find it in a different way. So they come back and they return to their inanimate state, in terms of the music. So
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let me open it up. Are there any questions? Right there.
So what was your role in the project, Sorry?
I directed it, and I was sort of like the director of photography, and I sort of like conceived it. I worked with Peter. I've worked with Peter a lot. We sort of co-invented this refractor piano that you hear.
Yeah.
And so I had him compose a piece specifically for this, and that's what it is.
I failed to have you introduce yourself. I know your first name's Klaus.
Oh, my name is Klaus Hoke. I'm a filmmaker, a musician, and sometimes other things.
So, sorry to follow up. So did you conceive of the whole piece as one in terms of the idea of doing this all as one shot, and
Yes.
with the dance and with the music all as one
Yes.
conceptual idea? Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Originally, the idea was they were going to emerge from a wall or a column, and then we started talking about it, and I realized it made even more sense for them to emerge from the piano as like a living embodiment of the music, and that's something that changed. But the idea was there a long time before we ever made it. So.
Is that yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Everything about it, the sound and the look, and I started to take it apart while I was watching, and then I just got swept away.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have technical questions afterwards.
Sure.
How much of the music is live, and is any of it in post? Is my first question. The second is how you handle the edits.
Well, the music is not live. we do all the refractor music live, and so we did it live, and then Peter played back to it because we couldn't do it in terms of the choreography. Because when you do the refractor, it changes every time you play it. Like every time this piece is played, it's different. So the timing changes too much for dancers, to really interact with it. And what was the second part?
So that's all to play back.
Yes.
Okay. And then how did you handle edits? I don't even recall seeing an edit.
There's no edit. There is just, like, as it goes along, it's a single shot, and then in certain places I morphed the kaleidoscope and the other stuff. That's all morphed on that single shot.
That's one single shot.
But there was no edit.
That's why you had to do it so many times.
Yes.
To get the whole piece
Yeah.
to work.
Because it would be like this, and it would be like this, and you miss this, and and
And if one piece doesn't work, you start over, right?
yes.
Beautiful. Congratulations.
And it's interesting because it actually worked out well because there's a lot of natural lighting in that warehouse. You saw there was only one light, it's fairly low budget.
Right.
And as the day progressed, the sun started changing, and all of a sudden the light became even more beautiful in the afternoon, around take 11, 12. And then finally, we got it in there. So, yeah, the dancers were really troopers, though, because that concrete is hard, and they also get dirty, and so we go like, we don't have too many takes, so they were great.
This one right here.
So you said you did it in 16 takes, or you did 16 takes?
Yeah.
What was your pre-production rehearsal choreography lead up to actually, okay, we're shooting today? And then how many days did you shoot?
We should shot one day.
Okay.
We had a dance studio where Emilio was doing the choreography, and I would go in there, work with him, so we get a sense of what it is. But we didn't really have a piano, and we couldn't really do the drone. So I met this guy who was a pilot. He was sort of inexperienced, but we went out to the park here, one of the parks around Moore Park.
More Park.
Yeah, and so I would rehearse. I'd say, "Can you do this? Let me see you come down to the garbage can, go around, and I got really paranoid. So I brought in some other people too, and so the actual real rehearsal was done on the day of. So we rehearsed. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this, and then the takes became rehearsals.
Got it.
In terms of refining it, So. That's it.
And were there more hands? Yeah, right there too.
Is your pardon me if I don't know the technicalities of this, but and it was beautiful, by the way, really beautiful. But is your drone operator and camera operator two separate people, or is the one person controlling both the flight and the camera?
Well, we had a drone pilot, and in terms of like the other stuff, I was sort of directing it in terms of the lighting, and the movement stuff. So I was acting sort of as a DP, but not as a pilot. I mean, he was the operator, and
But the focal length never changes.
Yeah,
and
no, what happened is we did have a zoom, and it just didn't work because, like I said, when we zoomed, it was all dark because I wanted to be sort of far away and not scare Peter, and scare the dancers. So we ended up having. I brought in a second drone, and that one had a fixed focal length, 24 millimeters, and that had a 2.8, because we didn't have a lot of light, so that way we could do that.
Yeah, including the one that tried to screw a project. So anyway, I'm going to get that with a shirt in a second. But yeah, so the camera was fixed, so the drone pilot really was manipulating the cameras. Every framing was really handled by the pilot, right?
Yes.
Because the drone had to turn the camera solely.
Yes,
It's like it was basically.
It's a Mavic Pro or
Yeah.
one of those, and it's so it was the movement and going up. That was the whole thing. Is like, you're manipulating 3 or 4 axes, and a lot of people, it's really hard. I mean, I had even more difficult movements that we had to scrap. Of going around and coming this and doing this and going through the piano and stuff. And it was like, maybe next time,
when it goes straight, could the camera turn this way though? Because
Yeah,
it goes
yeah.
above and then points
it's
down.
on a gimbal.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just, wasn't that
And
beautiful when
it
it
was a
went
small
from being
one.
in
It's
front
a
of
small
them
drone,
to above
like,
them?
like this, about this size, so it doesn't make like a whole ton of noise.
Right.
you know, because that's scary. You see the propellers.
And its
And
ability,
that's-
its ability.
By the way, that's also why we had to do playback, because the drone is too noisy to play live.
and the ability of that drone to go right up to the piano
Yes.
and then hold so still. Amazing technology there is today.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
and it
incredible.
makes it so beautiful to the eye that
Yeah.
to combine the stillness with all that movement.
Yeah, and when it's all one, I think it feels holistic in terms of, you know, what's there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Right there.
I just thought it might be interesting if you explained just a little bit about the refractor piano, that everything that we heard was from a piano and the way Peter manipulates.
Well, the refractor
piano.
piano is a piano that we created a system for. So it's an acoustic piano. All the music is refracted. So it's all acoustic music that's morphed live. And it's sort of like a new way of composing music, or, you know, that stuff. So we've been doing some concerts too, like at the Vortex Dome and stuff. So
Anyone else?
How did you keep the camera in focus, or was that part of the drone?
that's part of the drone.
Part of the drone.
Yeah, I mean the thing, it has an autofocus on it.
Oh, okay.
And-
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, and the there is a focus thing too. So we had certain, you know, like distances that we wanted to keep, and that was part of the rehearsal. You know, to where is it and where how do you maintain it? You know, so it and luckily, well, f/2.8 is sort of, you know, it's not the greatest, but it's good. Gives you a little.
Well, I mean the production was so fast moving.
Mhm.
You know, it seemed like you were everywhere. So
Yeah, I wanted to do the full warehouse. It was a warehouse downtown we got, and yeah, you need autofocus for that, you know, because otherwise it's too complex.
Yeah.
So,
Anybody else? Well, and I'm really proud to say we'll be sending
Well,
you
I'm
laurels
glad-
next week.
I'm glad you guys showed it, and I'm glad you
Yeah.
guys came.
No,
and
thank you.
watched
You know,
it.
we get music videos that are our bands playing.
Right.
This